Hey everybody, you caught me in the middle here. I wasn't actually thinking about filming this stuff because for some reason, well, I never usually used to film anything, so now I don't remember to do it. But I'm working at this Mustang or Capri and realized that I already cut it, so it's not really a secret anymore, but the firewall was kind of landing right about here on the body, and on the real car it's under the windshield. So what I did was I made a scribe mark, just after trying to decide where I wanted to cut it. If I cut it to the front, it messes up, my shifter stuff, and if I cut it too far in the back, it'll affect the 4-link brackets. So I cut it right ahead of those, and it was right like that. I scribed it out with my calipers and sliced it with a hacksaw blade. Now I'm going to figure out how much I want to take off and make another scribe mark and cut it. So what I do for my scribe marks is I take a black marker and just blacken it a little bit. It shows the mark, it'll show up a little better. It's going to be kind of a trial and error as far as how much I'm going to take off. So I kind of try to hold this in position and try to eyeball where the cowl is. Yeah, this is going to be a real eyeball. I mean, I'm sure there's a way more precise way, but I'm kind of a trial and error kind of guy myself. So I'm going to go off of my mark here, and what I'll do is set my caliper. I'm going to set it about 150 thousandths, and then I'll lock it, and then I take the edge here and just scribe. It's hard to do it while I'm trying to make sure it's visible. But let's try the other hand here. And because there's a few ribs in here that are simulated beads rolled in the aluminum, but now I have my marks, so I take my hacksaw blade, move some junk out of the way here. I try to start slow to keep it straight, and normally I work in my lap. Actually, I'll probably go a little bit short of the line and then sand it, try to sand it flat afterwards. But you can see I'm pretty much close to my line. So you always get a gap at the tunnel, but I can fill that. I should have an overhead camera mount maybe, but you can see other than the tunnel it matches good. So I'm going to super glue that together, and then we'll see how we made out with the length. It should be right though. I'm going to use the accelerator here. You don't get a lot of time to get it right though when you use that. pretty centered. This is just a bottle I bought. I can never find a good bottle. I was using these plastic pump spray bottles for this zip kicker, and they don't last. So I found these glass and metal ones at a Japanese store here in the mall. I guess it's for like perfume and stuff, but they last longer than the cheapy pump sprays, and they were kind of cheap themselves. They weren't expensive. But enough of that. Here's my floor pan, and let's see where it works out. I'd say we're good there. We're right at the front of the windshield. It probably could have been another 20 thousandths back maybe, but that's going to be fine for me. Now I'm also going to have to shorten the frame the same amount. Anyway, I'd have to shorten it anyway because the struts are way far forward. But now I got to decide where I want to shorten this. And I don't want to, I think I want to stay out of the motor mounting area, which is, you know, it sits right there, and that's at the right spot. It should be in the car, so I don't want to mess that up. So I'm thinking I'm going to cut in here somewhere. Well, anyway, I'm going to turn the camera off while I think about this. No sense burning up time. Okay, I made the cut with my X-Acto. I cut right here and right there, and then I'm going to have to take this piece off too because it's going to interfere with the clutch linkage. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to shorten that up. I'm going to drill everything and pin it so it'll be nice and strong, and that'll be the first step. And then I'm probably going to have to shorten again up in here, but we'll see that. We'll see when we get to that. And this is where I drill underneath this. Helps me to see. And I never shortened this in this area, so this is going to be new for me. I just eyeball, try to find the center of the tube, which is not really a tube, or I wouldn't have to drill it. The center of the frame rail. And I start it with this real little drill, and then I go to the one that matches the size of the pins. This one didn't make a clean cut, so it's a little harder to get it started, get a hole started. But I believe I got it. Yep, I got it. If you look, I don't know if it'll show up on camera. Right where my finger is, though. All right, where my thumbnail is. And you can't see it, but that's where I put the hole. Okay, then this drill here is the size of the pins. So we're going to go in with that. And once I get started, I get out from under the light so I can kind of try to stay straight. Sorry that nobody can probably see this, but I got to be able to see what I'm doing. And because of the way the camera's mounted, I can't do much different. Try to hold it up here. Okay, then what I do is I take these straight pins, and you'll see that they fit inside that hole. They're actually a little sloppy. It's a little bigger drill than I used to use, but then I take and cut the point off first, because that's actually smaller. And then we put a little super glue on there. Stick the pin in the hole. And then, oh, that actually worked out pretty straight. That's unusual. There you can see you got the pins in there. Now we'll put one on the other side. And again, I'm going to have to cut that one first, it looks like. I need to make the hole a little deeper. Okay, there you can see the two pins are in. So the next operation is going to be to shorten this and drill it. Yeah, you can see why I have to take this brace off. So let's do that. Get my sharp X-Acto. I see I can't take quite enough off to get the wheelbase right, so I'm going to take as much as I can and then make it up at the other end. Well, it took a little bit more, a couple more operations than I was initially thinking. Remember, I cut the, sure you remember, because this was only a minute ago on video, where it was a day ago in real life. But the first cut I made here, second cut I made here, and then it still wasn't quite centered. So then I cut the A-arms off and actually moved them back. It's pretty much perfect if I put the frame into the body. That pin's got super glue on it. Won't go through the hole. Yeah, you can see now where the strut mount is about dead center in the wheel well. So we should be good to go now. Now it's more finished body work. Excuse me. Make a roll cage. Fill in my little hole there in the tunnel. But I'm so used to building these things with these chassis that it seems like they go together really quick. The detailing takes more than the initial, hammering together the frame and making a cage. That stuff all goes pretty quick. Because, like I said, I've done so many of them. And in case you couldn't tell, yes, I'm a hoarder. I had been hoarding these Pro Sportsman kits for about probably the last 5 or 6 years. Every time I'd go to a show, I'd buy as many as I could find that, that weren't overly high priced. And I ended up with like 25 of them, which was just about what I figured I would need to do all my projects. But then, as always happens, I came up with more project ideas, which I had no more chassis for. So that's why I started the resin. Tried to make a mold of this to make a resin casting, and making all the resin parts. The rears and the forelinks and the wheel inners. Well, all the wheels, but wheel backs. Now I just started making front tires. I'm trying anyway. I made a mold to make the front tires that come with these kits, because I know I'm going to be I don't know what's wrong with my voice here. Not only was I hoarding these, then I started hoarding the I think they were Revell, the Oldsmobile Pro Stockers, like Cutlass, I guess. There was the Warren Johnson, Jegs, Larry Morgan's Castrol Super Clean. So anyway, I ended up with about 5 of those, and the Monogram Camaro Pro Stocks, which was a Ricky Smith, Rear Morrison, Frank Iaconio, which some of those have been re-released, and the Fords were the Bob Glidden and Ricky Smith. So I hoarded those. I ended up with about probably 5 of those also. So I should be good to go. I mean, I'll be using them up pretty quick, and I'm sure that'll continue. But I think I should be okay between what I can cast in resin parts and what I have. I should be good to finish maybe everything on my list if I don't add too much to the list. But anyway, I got off track here. But that I was basically wanting to show how I modify these chassis to fit whatever I'm working on, and some of them actually have to be lengthened, which I don't know if you remember seeing the one for the 57 Chevy that I'm working on right now. That one actually had to be lengthened, and I did a 4-door Maverick Gap and Roush a couple years ago. That had to be lengthened, but most of the time, because I always build short, small cars, they end up having to be shortened and narrowed. The one I did for Bob Glidden's EXP, that one took a whole lot of surgery too, with the shorten and narrowing, kind of like the Holden Australian body that I just used. You know, was kind of the same thing. But anyway, I'm rambling on, and I'm going to shut my big mouth now and try to finish this video so it doesn't get too long. So I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and thanks everybody for subscribing. You know, it's been really amazing how many subscribers I got. I was only expecting a handful, and I got a couple hundred, so I'm really surprised. So thanks everybody, and we'll see you next time.